Money is a way of measuring your wealth, but is not the wealth itself. And so if you define yourself by your money, you are confusing yourself with the bookkeeping. Bookkeeping. What a marvelous word for it. Here we all are, frantic little bookkeepers, scribbling away in our ledgers, adding up columns of profit and loss with the intensity of medieval monks copying scripture. And what have we forgotten? We've forgotten what actual wealth feels like. It's rather like, imagine if you will, a master chef who becomes so utterly enchanted with his cookbook that he never actually cooks. He spends his days caressing the pages, memorizing every recipe, discussing the theoretical perfect balance of flavors with other cookbook enthusiasts. Meanwhile, his kitchen grows cold, his ingredients spoil, and his guests go hungry. But oh, what a beautiful cookbook he has. What precise measurements. What elegant descriptions. This is what we've done with money, you see. We've fallen in love with the recipe and forgotten about the feast. Think about it. What is real wealth? Close your eyes for a moment. No, really, try it. And feel the weight of your body in that chair. Notice the air moving in and out of your lungs. That's wealth. The fact that you're breathing without effort, without payment, without negotiation with the atmosphere. The real wealth is the morning coffee that actually warms your belly, not the dollar bills you exchanged for it. It's the roof that keeps the rain off your head, not the mortgage payments. It's the embrace of someone who truly sees you, not the anniversary gift you bought to express what you couldn't say. Money is simply the language we use to trade these real things. It's a brilliant invention, actually. This symbolic system that lets the baker trade bread for the cobbler's shoes without having to carry loaves around in his pockets. But somewhere along the way, we started collecting the words instead of enjoying the conversation. You know what I find absolutely enchanting? A child with a cardboard box. Give a child the most expensive toy in the world, and they'll play with it for 10 minutes. Give them a cardboard box, and they've got a spaceship, a house, a robot suit, a secret cave. The child knows something we've forgotten. The joy is not in the thing, but in the play. We adults, we've become terribly sophisticated. We've learned to measure everything. We know the square footage of our homes, the horsepower of our cars, the thread count of our sheets. But when did you last measure the quality of your sleep? When did you last count the number of genuine laughs you had in a day? Here's what's fascinating. We live in a culture that has created more wealth, real, actual, physical wealth, than any civilization in history. We have machines that wash our clothes, devices that let us speak to people on the other side of the planet, transportation that would seem like magic to our great-grandparents. And yet we feel poor. We feel anxious. We feel like we're running out of something. What are we running out of? Time? Money? Security? Or have we simply forgotten how to recognize abundance when it's staring us right in the face? The map is not the territory, as they say. But we've become a civilization of people who spend so much time studying maps that we've forgotten to take walks. We know the exact distance to the nearest coffee shop, but we've forgotten what it feels like to wander without a destination. So here's the delicious irony. The more we try to capture life in our accounts and measurements and 5-year plans, the more life slips through our fingers like water. Life is not a problem to be solved, my friend. It's a reality to be experienced. And yet, and this is where it gets really interesting, I'm not suggesting we throw away our wallets and live in caves. That would just be another form of the same confusion, wouldn't it? Another way of making money more important than it needs to be. No. The invitation is much more subtle than that. The invitation is to see money for what it actually is, a tool. A very useful tool, but a tool nonetheless. When you pick up a hammer, you don't confuse yourself with the hammer. When you use a telephone, you don't think you are the telephone. But somehow with money, we've made this category error. We think our bank balance is our identity. What if we could relate to money the way a musician relates to an instrument? The piano is not the music. The piano is what makes the music possible. The musician doesn't worship the piano or identify with the piano. The musician plays it. So the question becomes, what music are you trying to make with your life? And is your relationship with money helping you play that music? Or is it drowning out the melody? Because you see, my friend, this confusion we have about money is just one symptom of a much larger enchantment. We live in a culture that has taught us to mistake the symbol for the reality in almost everything we do. And once you begin to see this pattern, well, that's when things get really interesting. We are living in a culture entirely hypnotized by the illusion of time, in which we believe that the meaning and fulfillment of our life is in the future. Hypnotized. What a perfect word. Because that's exactly what's happened, isn't it? We've been put under a spell so gradually, so completely, that we don't even realize we're walking around in a trance. How did this happen? Well, let me tell you a story. Once upon a time, and I do mean once upon a time, because this really did happen, humans discovered something remarkable. They discovered that instead of having to trade 6 chickens for a goat, and then trade the goat for grain, and then trade the grain for pottery, they could use little tokens to represent value. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. These little metal discs, these pieces of paper with pictures on them, they became a kind of universal solvent for human exchange. Suddenly the farmer could trade with the blacksmith, who could trade with the weaver, who could trade with the baker, and nobody had to carry livestock around in their pockets. But here's where the story gets interesting. Humans being humans, they started to get fascinated by the tokens themselves. The game of accumulating these symbols became addictive, and why shouldn't it? It's quite a thrilling game, actually. There are rules, there are strategies, there are ways to win and ways to lose. You can keep score very precisely. And unlike most games, this one never ends. You can always accumulate more. More, more, more. What a seductive word. More money, more security, more status, more power, more options, more freedom. The word itself has a kind of magnetic pull, doesn't it? But here's the trick, and it is a trick, though nobody planned it this way. The game has rules that ensure you can never actually win. The goalpost is always moving. Picture this. A man wakes up in the morning and thinks, I'll be happy when I get that promotion. Fair enough. He works hard, he gets the promotion. Does he wake up the next morning happy and satisfied? Oh, no. Now he wakes up thinking, well, that was nice, but I'll really be secure when I make 6 figures. He makes 6 figures. Now it's, I'll really be set when I have $1 million in the bank. He's like a man chasing his own shadow. The faster he runs toward it, the faster it moves away from him. And the shadow is always exactly the same distance away, just out of reach. The Zen masters have a wonderful term for this. They call it the hungry ghost, a creature with an enormous appetite and a mouth too small to feed itself. Always hungry, never satisfied. Now, I want to be very clear about something. I'm not criticizing this man, or you, or myself, for getting caught up in this game. It's perfectly natural. We're social creatures, and we've created a social system based on symbolic exchange. The problem isn't the system itself. The problem is that we've forgotten it's a system. It's like watching a movie and getting so absorbed in the story that you forget you're sitting in a theater looking at light projected on a screen. The movie can be wonderful, thrilling, moving, but if you forget it's a movie, you're in trouble. We've forgotten that money is a movie. We're sitting in the theater of economic life, watching the drama unfold on the screen. The numbers going up, the numbers going down, the characters winning and losing, and we think it's reality. But what happens when the movie ends? What happens when you walk outside into the actual sunlight, breathe the actual air, feel the actual ground under your feet? The spell begins to break. Here's what's really fascinating about this hypnosis. It depends entirely on our agreement to remain asleep. Money only works because we all believe in it. If tomorrow morning everyone woke up and said, you know what, these pieces of paper aren't actually valuable, the entire system would vanish like smoke. It's the ultimate shared dream. We're all walking around pointing at these symbols and saying, yes, that's worth something, that's important, that matters. And because we all agree, it works. But the moment you see it as agreement, as collective dreaming, something shifts. You realize you have a choice about how deeply you want to participate in the dream. This is what I find absolutely delicious about our situation. We worry about artificial intelligence becoming too powerful, but we've already created an artificial intelligence. It's called the economic system. And we've programmed it with one simple instruction: grow, accumulate, expand more. And like a computer program, it doesn't question the instruction. It just follows it endlessly, regardless of consequences. More plastic in the ocean? The program doesn't care. It's following instructions. More stress, more anxiety, more people working jobs they hate to buy things they don't need. The program doesn't care. It's optimizing for growth. But here's the beautiful thing. We're not computers. We can wake up. We can question the program. We can choose to play the game without being played by it. Because you see, the future we're all chasing, that magical moment when we'll have enough, that future never comes. It can't come. It's not designed to come. The system depends on us always wanting more, always feeling like we're not quite there yet. We sell our present, the only time we actually have, for a promised future that will never arrive. We trade our actual life for symbols of life. We give away the gold to chase fool's gold. But what if I told you that you're already wealthy beyond measure? What if I told you that right now, in this moment, you have access to something more valuable than all the money in all the banks in all the world? What if I told you that the secret to breaking the spell is not to fight it, but to play with it, to dance with it, to treat it like the elaborate game it actually is? But that would be telling, wouldn't it? And we're not quite ready for that yet. First, let's look at what it means to play the game with what I call a free hand. This is the real secret of life. To be completely engaged with what you are doing in the here and now. And instead of calling it work, realize it is play. Play. What a revolutionary word in our earnest, goal-oriented culture. We've been taught to be so serious about money, so grim about our financial future, so anxious about our economic security. But what if that's precisely the wrong approach? You see, there are two kinds of people who